Hello folks, welcome to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe and like to get latest update on my channel. If you want to follow me on my LinkedIn account for some professional stuff, you can follow me on this account. For some stuff related to the demonstration that we have been doing for a lot of time, you can follow me on my GitHub account, Try Their Business. And in today's session we will be looking into the stuff that is more of serialization stuff, and we will be demonstrating that serialization in our unit test serialization. For a good demonstration of our session and concept you are following here, I will be just introducing you guys with some client service that I will be using for a lot of time, and then we have to consume them and we have to understand those logic before implementing everything. So quickly starting to our Visual Studio 2022 provided by the Microsoft. That is my most loved Visual Studio IDE that I've been using for more than a decade now because of its intuitive nature and anything that is being related to the other stuff. So I'm just going to have that thing included in that. So I will be creating a unit test project of the .NET Framework 4.8 and C# will be the programming language. That's the template I'm going to use for this demonstration, and I will be naming it to unit test project. So, and I hit create. So the things are ready now, and I will be adding some renaming stuff here, and I will be just renaming it to unit test SOA, service oriented architecture, and I will rename this method to my test method XML. And another test method that I'm going to introduce here will be for my I will be demonstrating, I think so, something else is also there. Yep, we have some REST services nowadays pretty much in the market, and most of the people are using these things at a very convenient way, so why not we will demonstrate it as well. So I will try to include that service in this project as a reference so that you guys may get an insight of it, that how many methods are being exposed in that service. This is my VibesEdge service, and it's a plethora of methods being exposed. So we are not going to implement all those things because we need only a single method. So I will be opening my IIS server and I will be trying to get things done here with my services that are hosted here, and I will start my server. There's an application pool. Yes, that's my dry run stuff that I'm going to demonstrate you guys for today's session, and I will be just quickly opening those URLs now. So these are my web services, that's my REST service, and that's my XML service that's being hosted here, and the WSDL will be showing us rest of the stuff, and I will be using SOAP action. So we have only two SOAP action that are implemented in SOAP 1.2 and SOAP 1.1 and SOAP 1.2. so only we have a single method that being called here. So you guys might have observed that we have got a pretty much user-friendly URL here, and I will be demonstrating that in my project in a different way now, that will be using simple object application, simple object oriented architecture, and I will be introducing two classes here. Those will be my C# class base, and I will be having some request class. I will start with the XML, and then we will be using the same class for our REST service. So that's my XML response class, and I will be just renaming them for some referential purpose. That's my soa.xml.make request, and I will be just calling it a and a public scope class, and that's my response class, and I will be calling it my SOA XML dot make response. Sorry for the spelling mistake. And that's my namespaces that I have renamed now, and I will be having something different here in the response parameters, so I am just going to make it black now. So far so good, the things are there. I have got the definition of make call here, and I will be utilizing these components, these web service 1.1 SOAP 1.1 service oriented architecture protocol, and I will be utilizing this in my class definition. So just quickly going into those things, I will be just utilizing a few classes here. There are lots of things in these XML. These are my namespaces that are included in the class. We will have that referential here, and we have some body class that will be utilized here. We have some make call, and we have got some namespace that is being utilized here, and there is a request class that we will be required in that, in this request object. So why not make it some more visible, and I will be utilizing this thing here in my make request class, just saving those things that we have created now. So I will be using a bottom-up approach here, and I will be starting creating those things that are required in my request object, and that's my string, and that's my code, and this should be setter and getter type, so that I may get something more easy to utilize. And that second thing is my info, and that info is also a setter getter, and I will be okay with that. So I have created these things that are related to my class, these attributes. In fact, these are not the things, and I will be using some elements, XML elements, and that XML elements will be named. That's my element name, and I will say sorry for that correction. Yes, that's the right correction. I will try to include those references so that I might not get set up of errors henceforth. So that's my element name that I have utilized in it, and those XML elements are perfectly fine here. So far so good, the things are ready. I will just try to save my time and just give it an element name here. So similar way we will be now moving to our other classes that we are going to create. I will just quickly create all those classes and just get back to you people now. So my classes are ready, and I have just completed those request object, make call, these are completed, so I will be just marking them completed. The make call is there, the make call is completed, the body is there, object is there, class is there, and the envelope is also there, so I will be marking it complete now. But few things that I have to make some touching with you guys is the namespace that I'm going to add with that. It's an envelope that requires some namespace, so I have this namespace for the envelope. I will just quickly copy it, and I will just paste that link here. That's the reference tagging that is required when you will be sending the request, and there is another namespace that is required here, and it's my namespace for the make call. So my request class is complete. Now I will quickly move to my response class. So for response, I am just going to copy that part in it, and I will also using the bottom-up approach in my response class, and I will be trying to make things easy in a more robust manner. So for now we have added everything that was required, and I'm just going to add some references that I've been using here. I will be using some indoors, and that indoors will be coming from my SOAV that I haven't included yet. So I am going to include my SOV reference now. So that's my handler collection SOV, and I will add the errors are gone, and we have got some validations to do add in those type. So there is another reference that I'm going to add is my outbound user-friendly name, and it will be my SOA XML make request reference. So I have quickly added those references just to make sure that those request and response are amply tagged here. So I will be just using now that request reference that I have utilized here. I will be using the reference there, and I will be creating the object at the time of including this object in my make call request. So for now I'm just going for my this data class that I have to be including in my line of codes. It's my data class, sorry for the spelling mistake, and I am just going to add some public string code, and that shall be my getter setter. And there is another public string message, that's my another getter setter method that will be publicly exposed. So these are two things that I'm going to add as an element, and rest of the things I'm going to add for reference. I will be adding them as XML element. That's my XML element, and those XML elements shall be having some element name, and that name is code. I will be just quickly copying that, and that's going to be my message, right? So these are the two attributes that are being included in my data stuff. I'm just going to mark it completed in a way that I just remember I have created them. So I am just going to add a private variable so that I make some decision making before moving into those requests that I'm receiving. I will call it a status variable, and that will be my getter setter method, but in this case it will be a private one that will not be accessible over the communication or the HTTP client SOA communication. So for now I am just creating that public boolean return type get status method. The purpose of these things will be localization. I will state that. I will say that localization scope, so that we can have a pretty much good grip on whatsoever we are creating at this time, that we have created these things meaningfully, that if we have some endorsement to do, that's our error type endorsement. So I will be just using that error type if the message isn't empty, so we can proceed with that. And there is another endorsement. We are going to make sure here that the results that are being passed, that the response that is being received isn't empty. So we have another parameter here, that is code. So far so good, we have created that part, and we will be trying to assign value as falsification if we return some true from here. If there is an error, we will be falsifying the status, and if there isn't any error, we will be returning true to the assignment of the status. So I have quickly completed that solution developer commenting part, so I'm just going to quickly add that file now, and you should be coming back within no time. So we have completed that part where we have created some localization, and we have some data object created, and now we have make result, call result ready for us, having these errors and these data components in them, and the request components also referenced by some outbound request which we have given out there as a reference, using simplified and friendly using statement naming conventions. So we have a done thing here, and the make call request, make call response is also ready with some inputs, and I have also added some namespaces in them that was required to be referred here. These are the two namespaces that I was supposed to add in my code, so these are already added. So the thing seems good now, and we have some request object that envelope will be our XML root, right? And I think so I have spelled wrongly. Is it right now? And we will be having that XML root here. Yeah, that's the root. And why this XML root? Okay, I have some spelling mistake on that, and that's perfectly fine now. Those things, so far so good, things are perfectly fine. I am going to add some references here, and I will be quickly adding JSON in my code, and I will be adding some nuggets. In fact, that will be my Newton soft nugget that I will be including in this project for handling my JSON requests. Install and apply, and that's good to go. Perfectly added. And now I have the reference of JSON here, Newton soft JSON reference. So I will be using Newton soft.json, and I will be using outbound, an easy way of naming, a more professional way of naming, in fact I will say, for making request. And I will be using some inbound naming convention, and that will be an XML, yeah, and that will be a response namespace that I will be using now. And I will be using some component. You people might have watched my video where I have done that component stuff in my Microsoft HTTP client provided by Microsoft HTTP. Microsoft have provided that HTTP client, and I have just added that component in my HTTP client SOA to make things more professionally available, readily available for group of developers. So I will be naming it a serial. That will be my SOAV, and that's my SOAV XML object. So and I'm going to have some serialization stuff from that namespace. So the things are pretty much closer to the indoors now, and I am just going to add those SOV. No. That's my SOV dot validation. So pretty much it, that's ready now. So I will be now having some create instance here. So that's my region defined just to make things available to the developers who want things some neat and clean. So I will be using outbound envelope, and there will be a new envelope, I guess so, and there will be a body for that, and that body will be having some new. Yes, I have got some errors, and I'm just going to fix that within no time, and that will be my request obj. So that's perfectly fine, and that I have also added the semicolon at the end of it. And the next thing that we are going to add is my make call. I'm going to instantiate it. So next thing is our request object class, and we are going to instantiate our request class here, and we have got some code to provide, and we have got some info to share. I will say the info is success and the code is 10. Sounds good? Yep. And I will be adding some inbound object here. So that's my inbound object that I'm going to instantiate here just for the sake of reference, and that's my RESP obj, and I will say that it's a new obj, and I will be just creating it a blank request. So far so good. So I'm just quickly jumping into those things that we need now. I have the swap service. We have got something that is being utilized in this code, that is my HTTP client SOA, and the requirement is this, that we shall be including some request object, response object, and tags here. And similar way we have the REST connect service REST method here, and I will be just providing a request and response object only in that case. So I'm just quickly jumping into those implementation now. Be with me now. So I will be just creating a dictionary object now, and that will be a string type, and that will be another string that will be required, and I will be naming them tags, and I will be just creating a new object for this, and that object shall be having some inputs, and those will be my namespaces that I'm going to include in them. And those namespaces will be having two kind of params, name and the actual URL that I'm going to utilize. I have XSI and XSD, and the third one is SOAP. So I will use XSI just here, and that's my XSI. I've included that. I've got XSD. I'm going to add that XSD, and the another one is my SOAP. So the SOAP namespace is available here. So if we have got some extra thing to add, we can add them here now. So we will be having some message, and that message will be some serialization to XML, and that will be my request object, and these are the tags I'm going to include. Perfectly fine. For some display purpose we can use anything for some pretty much good things that we want to name, but now I'm just going to give the service name, that is my demo, that's my XML service. So that's my demo XML service. I will name that web service. I have some component to add here, and that's my service URI that I am going to add here, and that service URI is supposed to be from here, and that will be my this one. So I have got the service URI, that's pretty much there. And another thing that I'm going to make call now, and that make call will be some component connect XML. Yes, that's my XML, and I will be giving some request object, response object, and my tags here, and I will be expecting some get avatars. Yep, and those avatars shall be getting some results, and those results shall be passed on to some obj that I'm going to instantiate here again. Yeah, that's my object, and I will say that that's my object RSL, result object, and I will be having some string str to accommodate with this request calling. I will be having some response object that will be in my inbound explicit casting, and that's my envelope that I'm going to get from this RSL. And I am just going to have some conditions here or switch statements, verify, and I will be having some if statements. I will say that if statements are there, so we have some if statement. That's my endorse. So far we have done I will say that that's my SOAV conditional stuff. Yeah, I will say that conditional. I will make it some type of region scope, and I will be having some end region here, and that will be a good thing to do. And if I have something in error type, I will be getting that response object here, and I will be making some decisions. Likewise, I will be saying that console.writeLine service unavailable. And the second thing that I'm going to do here is that's my region stuff, and I will be just making some beautification here, and I will be just adding this as my region for SOA region, and that SOA region shall be ended here. That's my region stuff that I have completed. I will be displaying that console.write message. I will say that I have that message that I will go to send, and when I receive something from this side, I will be just displaying it console.writeLine the response string that I have received. So far so good, things perfectly fine. And I have else if statement here, and else if there is something, then we can do some stuff like that. We have a response object dot body dot make call response dot make call result dot error, and I will be negating it, that if there isn't, then we will be saying that console.writeLine that's my request successful, right? And else case, I will say that there is something that I'm going to show, then I will be okay, I will be going for the else if, and I will be just response object dot body dot make response dot call result dot data dot get results get status, and if the status is there that is localized, then we will be having some thing to show here in the form of serialize object XML, and that response obj shall be here with some tags, and that's it. We are going for some else statement, and that else statement shall be something that we are going to try, and that else statement is console.writeLine something is wrong and validate it. So far so good, our XML response is ready, and I am going to try run it for you guys. Afterward, I'm going to try this REST code, so can we make those things available to us now, and I am going to write it now. We have some region to define here. That's the instance I'm going to create for my REST JSON methodology that I'm going to call here, and I will say that that's my request obj, and I'm just creating that request obj, and that request obj shall be having some code, and I will say that I have some code here and I have some info here, and I am just going to write that info in a success form, and I will say that it's an 11 code. So I will be just ending that part, and I will be just saying that inbound dot make call result is my response obj, and this response obj is going to be a blank object here, and if there is something else I'm going to do, that's perfectly fine, no error yet. So I'm going to create region here for my SOA, and I will be just making that region a similar way I have created above, and I will be creating that string MSG, but the difference is this, that I don't have that dictionary object here to make things work in that manner. That was XML being. I'm just going to use JSON convert, that's my Newton JSON, and I have just request object that is being serialized here, and I will be just adding all those things beside my component. Sorry for the spelling mistake. My component dot rest component, and I will be just passing request obj and my response obj, and that's it for this method. And I will be just configure get awaiters. I will be just get awaiters, yeah, get awaiters, and those are get results. That's it. Rest of the code will be the same. I just come back to you in a few minutes. So for now I have done those things that are looking beautiful now, and I have just things ready, and the final code looks like this. I'm going to build it now and try to run those things in front of you with, oh, there is some mismatch, so I'm just going to make some fix over here. I will just add those x64 references in the build. It's not built for x86, so it's x64 type, so I have fixed that problem. I'm just going to build it again so that I can find if there is any discrepancy or error remaining. So it's a good success. So we will be making some test results here again, and that was a pretty much okay, that's what a good thing that we have run, and the response is going to be perfectly fine. Those two results are perfectly fine, and now we are going to see that if we just stop our server, what we get now. Just confirm me that the server is stopped. As it stopped, so I'm just rerunning them again, and let's see what happens now at this point of time. If the services are down, what will be the response from the HTTP client SOA? One service response is here, and the other service is waiting for the response, and that's the response, and it says the service is unavailable, and the service says that is unavailable. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.